Welcome to Founder Tactics, a podcast about entrepreneurs and the communities that shape them. I'm your host, Julia Lucchini. This month's theme is AI Tech and Strategy, how to build and scale smarter. I had the pleasure of interviewing two global leaders in tech who flew in exclusively for this conversation. Max Ushchenko, head of data and AI practice at NIX, joining us from Budapest. Max built NIX's AI practice from the ground up over the last decade. He brings sharp insight into what it really takes to implement AI effectively, from choosing the right use cases to selecting practical tools and building long-term capabilities. And we also had Walter Hildebrandi, CTO at Zendesk LATAM, flying in from São Paulo. Walter gave us a transparent look into how Zendesk has approached AI at scale, the wins, the missteps, and the importance of change management when embedding AI across a large organization. All right, let's jump in. And welcome to the Founder Tactics podcast. I'm excited to have you both here with us.
Nice to be here in Latin America. Florida.
I'd love to get started with a round of introductions. Max, if you'd like to start, just to share a little bit about you, your background, and what do you do?
Hello, everybody. My name is Max Ushchenko. So I'm building the data and AI practice at NIX for more than 10 years. So we built it differently from scratch. So right now we have around 120 people with different specialties. So our main goal at the company is to help our clients build their technology, build their services around it. So that's kind of a small intro about me.
Excellent. Thank you. Walter?
So my name is Walter. I'm the CTO for Zendesk Latin America. Been with the company for 3 and some years, doing business for customer service. Our solution handles every communication from customers to companies. I saw someone with a CRM hacker t-shirt here. Buddy, I'm your friend. Please, just hack Salesforce. That's it. Thanks. So we're a global company based in California, in San Francisco. Roughly around 100,000 companies all over the world uses our solution in every major industry.
So today we're going to dive into AI tools, some strategies and tips, and also how to implement them and some of the challenges of scaling. What are some areas of opportunity where AI can be utilized across teams that you guys have experienced? And we'll start with Max.
So as I already said, the main goal and services of our company is software development. So I would try to stick to this topic through the whole the speech, I would say, because that's where we have expertise. So from my standpoint, the software development lifecycle right now, it's the biggest change that I would say brings us generative AI and large language models. It's exactly inside of the code generation, pair programming things, like AI assistance in this area. So another part is like, because software development lifecycle not only about the development itself, like supportive activity, like business analysis, quality assurance, DevOps, those roles also benefit a lot, leveraging tools. And the main question, we have, dozens of those foundational models, some from OpenAI, some from Google, some from Anthropic. What exactly should I pick? Well, what's better for me, better not? But the approach is that we use is like you really need to give it a try, and not just give it a try, but also measure specifically the impact on this process. So that's kind of the first recommendation, that if you have some workflow and you see that it fails for some reason, or it's too long, and it also operates this text itself. So you're writing some email or you're writing some specification. So you operate in the text. That's where it will shine. And so I would just end it up and give a word for Walter.
So when we started our journey into AI, we look at our customers and said, what were the personas that we were trying to deliver AI to, right? and try to identify what is important for each persona. So in our case, for example, we have AI for customers, we have AI for the agents, we have AI for the admins. So clearly, our perspective on each role would be different, right? And that is one thing that maybe you can take a look at is try to identify your personas in your businesses and what is the objective that you have for AI for each one of them, and try to establish very specific KPIs for each, right? What do you want to increase? What do you want to reduce? And try to stake out far away from very quantitative goals. I often hear things like, I want my AI to be empathic with the customer. So how do you measure the empathy? Is it in terms of recurring revenue, or is it in terms of increasing average ticket value? So try to get these metrics very specific and very quantitative for different personas and the way you use AI for each one of them.
I would just wanted to add on top of this that sometimes it's really hard to connect. Let's say I created this user story or something 2x faster to ROI of the whole company. So that's the things that definitely you should think about, how to calculate those metrics connection between operational metrics or metric of the sales manager, metric of the software developer, how he's better writing code and delivering new features connected with some financial metrics, for example, how it really influences profitability, core things that you definitely need to understand. So this connection from influence on the business function, how it will be connected with business, financial or business itself. So there is kind of approach like North Star metric or something where you try to calculate, so you have a pyramid of the metrics. So something is like where you're looking at ROI and profitability, and then you build how changing of in your business or in some workflow will influence this one. But maybe you shouldn't use exactly this approach, but that's the idea is to connect how AI makes better some workflow will influence the whole business. So this is something that you need to think of.
Can you share a little bit about what are some of the AI tools that you guys are using to build?
So as Walter already said, so I mentioned mostly is like AI tools in the software lifecycle, but we also developing some tools for our clients. And for clients right now, they are most of them, if you're talking about generative AI, they are looking into agents and specific technology connected with it, like a model context protocol server. So those things like middleware between, let's say, if ChatGPT will start and it will buy something at Amazon, it will be doing it using MCP. So it's kind of making possible to large language model to understand what exactly on the website, what the entities, where I should go to get some product bought to you. So those kind of interesting technologies that you big tech creating MCP for their own products. So OpenAI, for example, will be able to integrate with them easily. So because integrations with the API for a large language model is a lot of things. So right now that was created as kind of tech. But now we are getting back to the software development lifecycle. So I would say that in paid programming for our developers, we mostly use Microsoft GitHub Copilot. So those kind of tool that could be plugging into EDE and will help your developers doing it better, faster, creating documentation, reverse engineering the code. So this kind of things that definitely you should consider to check at least. So maybe not buy, but at least give it a try and see how it works for you. Another tool that I'm personally using is by Google. It's Notebook LM. It's kind of to give it understanding. So I need to also give a context is RAG, Retrieval Augmentation Generation. The thing is when you try to use your specific PDF document that covers your vacation flow, how your employees are going on vacation, but you want it to be in the context of the model, and any model doesn't know about it because it's only your specific processes there. So to give it a context, not just putting it in as a prompt, you use material documentation generation. And Notebook LM gives you possibility to add website, YouTube video, audio, to be in a context of questions that you want to discuss with large language model. A lot of them right now, like audio deep research functionality, something like that. But this specific tool could help any role that work with text and need additional context to be searched or to be answered inside your communication with AI.
So I would say that when it comes to tools, it's funny because the way we are approaching AI is like a mix. So we started our AI practice like 2021 when we acquired the company in Lisbon. It's called Cleverly. This is where we started our journey into AI. So then we brought their expertise, their knowledge into our core Zendesk product. But over the years, especially the last 3 years, we have been acquiring different companies that were bringing new approaches, new technologies. So it's been funny to see all these come together as a whole. So we're bringing different people from different cultures, different approaches to AI, and building a solution around that. So it is a puzzle that we need to assemble. For example, the last acquisition that we did was Ultimate. It is like a customer-facing chatbot solution. So we're bringing that together with QA around workforce management and everything. And they're solve different pieces of the puzzle, but the foundation is around AI. So we're bringing all this together. It is a challenging journey, but we are trying to consolidate that into a single platform.
Since you've been diving into this world since 2021 as a company, I'm sure you've been able to, over the past couple of years, identify risks and challenges that have been associated to acquiring and implementing AI at scale. Can you speak into those a little bit so that people who are building companies or looking to apply AI can start to also learn from your experience, maybe learn from some mistakes?
So we all are having or feeling this pressure around bringing AI to the business, right? We all are, right? The board or the market or the competition, they're all pressuring all of us to bring AI to the business. And we understand that once you on this journey, there are some risks that you're going to say. So for example, you can have questions around, should I be starting my AI approach on my own? Should I acquire a company or bring a solution as part of my solution? Or maybe should I build upon some foundation layers of AI models or whatever? So I think there's no right answer for this, but you need to be aware of some things. If you start building upon those building blocks, you will have like a dependency forever on what you're building upon. There are risks around security or data or everything else because you're relying on someone else, tools or frameworks or whatever. So I need it for each use case that you're facing. You may wonder, do I want to have these risks associated on the building blocks? Or should I go start from scratch and build my own so I can have more control, more ownership? But also you have like more, probably your TCO is going to be more difficult to prove, right? If you start from scratch, you probably need to hire, I don't know, data scientists, developers or whatever, train your model, all those things. And probably your time to market is going to be higher if you just acquire a solution or contract a solution, whatever. So there's no wrong or right answer for this question. It depends on the use case. It depends on each company. So this is my thought around that.
I'm totally agree with Walter.
Thanks.
The things that like, there is no silver bullet how you just, okay, I'm switching on AI and I'm happy. So we also, like as a company, as NIX, we are building some products for our own. And there we mostly try to use open source models, some open source technology, but with open license. So if we fine tune it or even try to train it or doing some tweaks there, it will be still ours products. But to train whole model from scratch, it's not even like, you said, it will be hard to prove your TCO. So it was like some of the article information that one train cycle of the GPT-3 cost $500,000. I mean, that's one try. Even if it's not successful, they have thousands of those train cycles, etc. Anyway, those investment, it's really hard to prove. But I was starting the point that we have a lot of clients coming to us, and then how to handle their use case. So Walter covered pretty all of them, I would say. So you can build something from scratch, but when you think something from scratch, you can reuse some open source. Because building something totally from scratch, you might have a really big business to handle those costs. Then you can leverage something that's almost ready. So, for example, foundation model of OpenAI or foundational model of the Gemini in their infrastructure. So if you read their policies of the data protection, it's really straightforward, I would say. For example, if you use Gmail for your personal, for business communication, you believe that Gmail will not be hacked by Google and information will get there. If you do this, why are you afraid of using Gemini and you're having a contract with Google, you're paying them money, and if something like that happens, you sign this contract and see what you can do with it. So a lot of information of data protection and data policy processing is there. You just need to read it and say, okay, if I'm okay with that or not. And another level of abstraction, I would say, so building something from open source, using something that's provided by those big players of Gen AI market, and then another layer of buying or subscribing or using some product that built on another level. For example, Zendesk AI features that already we discussed, customer-facing chatbots, agents that maybe already in production, not heard about them, but maybe it's already there. A lot of companies already provide the functionality, but it's for every product that you buy, it has its limitation. So, and then you will need to be in the phase of integration, understand the limit of the products that buying, maybe not black box with some documentation there, but at some level, it will just maybe not cover your requirements. That is why you might need a team anyway. First of all, to pick the right product, and then to integrate it, and then to scale it across your organization.
So I think this is a good segue into thinking for us to take the discussion more into how to actually implement and test. Right? So when you look at advice to a company who is looking to implement AI, how would you suggest testing, deploying, and scaling like that? Initial tests to reduce risk. What are some ideas and suggestions of how people can implement AI into their business and make sure, okay, tested this out, this is a great thing that we can now roll out to the rest of the company, right?
So my first advice would be stick to your core, right? So oftentimes I hear about companies that say, I have this AI initiative, I'm building a chatbot. But what is the core business? Yeah, so we're a fintech, but we're building a chatbot. My advice is, if you want to succeed in AI, stay close to your core, right? Don't try to reinvent the wheel. How many companies here that you hear that they have their own ERP? Just a few. It needs to be very specific to have their own ERP. Otherwise, they're going to be using whatever industry ERP in the market. In that sense, don't say that your AI initiative is building a chatbot. You could use much more knowledge in other things that is really your core initiative. And then my advice is start small, create a small use case, test, iterate, gain confidence. It is important that the whole company is confident on the solution, on what you're building, and then you can expand and try other use cases and then move on. But stay close to your core.
I agree. Again,
Thanks.
I would just want to add something from my standpoint. And when I was talking about the intro, I was talking about my data practice, which is like 120 people, but the company itself is like 3,000. And to scale it sometimes, even if it's not 3,000, like 150 people, this also could be a challenge. If you the pick and right tool. So to do pick and right tool and then scale it. So we call it inside become so like AI advocate. It could be AI evangelist. You could call it whatever you want. In your own world, the naming will be like you want. And it shouldn't be really one person. It should be team that will come up with the process of the scaling it across the company. And it's like there are, as again, two things. Something when you build it as a AI functionality or covering some use case to make your product better, or when you leverage an AI to make your process and your development and your business better. In both cases, you will need, as a people first, you will need those who knows exactly who tested, who will build some POC proof of concepts, who will, provide this value inside your team, and then also will widespread it. They also will do some workshops. They will prepare some mentorship program or will be mentors of those teams that will try to use those tools or trying to build it. So when I was trying to make it in our company, when I was doing it almost like alone at some time, you are not moving the pace that you want to. You will need a kind of team of AI advocates that will do it inside your businesses. So this kind of thing. And we were talking about measuring. Yep.
Sure.
One of the questions was initially, so the focus on the core business, try to build a team of AI advocates. It doesn't matter if you try to build a functionality in your core product or you try to leverage AI in your software development lifecycle or in your business processes. And then how to move, where to start. So beneficially to have those AI advocate teams that we want to try GitHub Copilot. We want to try Anthropic Claude because of this and that. So they will prove it. We want to try with this tool for this kind of workflow to automate. So before moving forward, you will need to gather historical data, I would say. So how this process was performing before you leveraging any additional AI, any AI advocates. So you then have your benchmark. So before all of this AI, we have been doing it like that, with that pace, with that efficiency, with that number of sales have been done, with that number of brief for marketing created, those kind of information already gathered. If you don't have analytic in place and you don't have those historical data, you will need to gather it, maybe manually, but then it will also move your business forward to maybe moving from manual to automate something. And AI also can help in it, but it's another topic. So you have this benchmark. Then you try to leverage one AI tool, let's say for the same process. And it's like A/B testing. I believe that almost everybody heard about it. So you're doing this trial, you do this A/B and see, okay, this doesn't help like I expected. I try another. All of them have trial periods. And even if you trial something very expensive and you like it, you then could look for cheaper version if it's covered, or you can try to build your own with using open source that we discussed. So this kind of A/B testing approach that what we have been doing for GitHub Copilot for our developers. So we got 35% improvement in the development, let's say, speed or efficiency of the development. And then we tried to calculate it, having our business model, how we work with clients. So we got near to from 10 to 14% reducing the cost of the development, exactly coding, let's say. So that's kind of, I don't know if you are doing the same business or not. That can be, you can use a benchmark for your own, if it could get same. It might not, because your product might be more complex. You might have our legacy products or something like that. But those things, like at least starting point, approach with A/B testing and some benchmarking, you also could find that across internet. You could not believe me, but find other white papers or metrics that provided from GitHub or whatever.
Just want to comment something here because you were mentioning POC, right? I always say that we are in the era of AI, but basically it's the era of POC, right? Every customer wants a POC now, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, because let's face the truth.
For those that don't know what POC
Is a proof of concept, right?
Thank you.
They want to test your solution. Why? Because we all have the best AI solutions. We all reduce or increase productivity. We are super efficient. So think about this. Put yourselves in the shoes of your customers and say, how many companies promise the same thing? We have the best AI approach, right? So every customer, they want to try your solution. So my advice is be ready to test your solution, to take it to the real world, and so the customer can test, can try, and see actual results. But like Max was saying, get in an agreement on what is the success that they want to measure. Clear, specific metrics, KPIs. Look, you were doing this at, I don't know, 10%. We're going to do it at 70%. So agree on those metrics and those KPIs before you start doing POCs.
What are some of the common issues that you could see a early stage company facing when scaling with AI too fast?
Yeah. So one thing that we already a little bit touched upon it. So reading the policies of data processing, reading those contract part of it. And I know if it's, let's say, kind of big company or middle company, that your employees already using AI, even if they say that not. Some of them use it for even home things, but during those communication, let's say with ChatGPT, they sometimes, okay, I have this question about work. And they sometimes put some names of your clients, put some snippets of code there, put something there. And again, if you have B2B contract, if you work with a Google company to company, they have strict policy of data processing because it's B2B. If it's B2C, even if you buy ChatGPT Plus or those kind of licensing there, the rules there are different. And then you can scale it. Okay, I haven't provided my team with a centralized approach. I haven't provided my developers with the AI assistant tool that will make them more efficient and I will benefit from it. They are buying something from them because they want to use it. They will save their own time on using it and it's used for their own needs. But what is more important, they will put their data that you might not want them to put into the, this other type of contracting and processing of the data. So this kind of a tricky risk that you might not know, because licensing of B2B of those products and B2C are different. So that's what we were also facing. And a lot of our clients right now, some of them even don't have specific contracting because we are as a service provider using AI. So that's another thing that you might need to think about, how you as a company that using AI and providing some services for another company, if that company not ready, if they don't want you to use it. So that's another tricky thing. If you want to scale, we are AI ready first, but your client not AI ready and not AI first. And they will tell you, we don't want you to do this like that. We don't want you to export our data for Google, for example, which is partially nonsense, but that might be in a contract. Then if you don't have another one, they might don't want to work with you. So that's not scaling things that you might not think about it. You think that everybody is AI ready and AI first, but it doesn't like that. So reading the contracts, reading those policies, and giving your employees centralized approach that you approved, that you believe, and that you have contract, that's kind of advices I would say.
So I would say that you have the opportunity to present your customers with something new and not only use AI for the regular stuff or just the same use case, but try to change the market dynamics. So let me give you an example on that. So we did a research and we saw that tickets were increasing 33% year over year, right? And the way that business were handling this is adding more people. And we saw, and there's a survey by Gartner that says that around 70% of the CX budget is on people and just, I don't know, 30% is on technology. So the way that we shift the market is that with AI, this composition is going to change. So you're going to be using in more in terms of technology and not relying too much in terms of people. But the overall, the sum of technology plus people is going to decrease. So companies are going to spend less with a different mix, more on technology, less on people, to be able to handle an increasing number of tickets year over year. So the risk is don't use AI just to substitute the actual business, but try to propose these changes in the market to use or leverage AI to change the market and maybe move the coin on not using technology as much as people as if you can.
Another interesting trend inside the technology market that I'm witnessing, I'm not sure that it will lead us in the right way. So companies deciding, okay, we will do some layoffs because we could save our money and using some AI, let's say, to generate codes for us. So it might lead for the situation where the company would have only seniors or like senior technical staff engineers that will use results of generated by AI, maybe fix it in some way. First of all, their job will not be very funny because they will be like operator of AI. They're really not running and writing any type of code. They're just fixing and saying, okay, run another prompt to fix. Just also will be to lead into burnout of those kind of people because it's really exhausting. It's not something that they've been used to for a lot of years. But it also leads for the senior engineers. They're not growing on trees. They started from the juniors. And if everybody lay off juniors and do not get new ones, from where in 10 years we will get new senior that needs to be AI operators? That's one interesting thing about it. And another, so right now, even if I told previously that training cycle costs a lot, the prices of using some managed services in a cloud or by subscription sometimes looks affordable. A lot of our clients pretty fine with the TCO of the solutions that we built for them. But there is an idea that it's, that I read on LinkedIn, that it's like Uber. So previously it was $3 per ride with some discounts, with something that, okay, and everybody got there. Everybody right now use Uber or Uber-like taxis, even if it's not now cost $100. So that pricing of the AI products and AI solutions could also grow. But you already, on it. You couldn't just forget about it because everybody use it, your team use it. So that's another thing that you should consider about the scale in the business and thinking about the future. You shouldn't move totally from your core business, core processes. You need to use it as an assistant, as a help, as a performance, something that could make your efficiency better, but not that something that I will be only one CEO doing all the job.
And also, you talked about layoffs. So let's be truly honest. We are hearing a lot about AI is going to take away lots of jobs or whatever. So let me give you something to think about. What is the thing that we have always been hearing around? We don't have resources to handle all the ideas, right? We hear that a lot, right? This idea is wonderful. I just don't have people to do it. I don't have resources. You could use AI to free up people to develop all those crazy ideas that you've been keeping in your desk for a while. So let's not talk about layoffs. Let's talk about freeing time for people to do all the things that you have always wanted to do.
And you can compare it with when cloud was introduced. So it gives you right now, you don't need to have a data center. You need to have the whole CPUs to run it. And it's enable you possibility to test hypotheses, to do a lot of things that you weren't able to do previously, to scale faster, etc. You should consider the next, no, not next cloud, but next technology that enables you a lot, not will move you from something. I know a lot of companies still have hybrid cloud. They have their own data centers, but they also have a cloud thing. That's the same approach could be leveraged here.
I have two more questions for you guys, and then I want to open up for questions from the audience. But what are some of the things that you see in the future, given that you're, deep in working with AI?
One of the things that we see is coming up is when we talk about personal assistants, right? So right now we think about, we all have been working with Alexa or Siri or whatever over the years, right? But the things that we're doing with them are still pretty basic, right? You want a recipe or whatever, you want to know a joke, you want to whatever. But think about evolving the Alexa or the personal assistants into more complex use cases, like, please handle my banking account or manage my health care program, right? So you would say, no way I'm going to give my personal banking number and password to Alexa and ask her to interact with the bank and manage my credit card or my banking account, whatever. No way, right? But this sort of confidence paradigm that we're seeing is pretty much what companies are seeing today. So companies today, they need to gain trust in AI. They need to feel confident about AI. It is the same thing that is going to happen with all of us when we interact with personal assistants. We're going to get confidence and trust, and they're going to be handling more complex use cases, right? The fun thing, besides we handling over these situations to these personal assistants, is what's going to happen on the background, because you're going to be seeing like Walter bots talking to, I don't know, Bank of America bots, and they're going to be talking to each other, right? And this is going to be super fun. But also, there's going to be a challenge for companies, because when Walter was interacting with Bank of America, they had the opportunity to talk back to me and then, I don't know, increase my loyalty, whatever. But what happens when Bank of America bot is going to be talking to Walter's bot and not to me? How they're going to be building loyalty, customer service, and getting feedback if they're talking to a bot, right? It's bot to bot. So companies will need to reinvent the way they engage and they create more long-time relationships with their customers.
So Max, I have a little bit more of a specific question for you around software development, because right now in the market, there's platforms like Lovable that you can put in a prompt and it creates a app for you, but they're not perfect. And right now it helps for the people or founders that are building an app or a company on a prompt related software development platform to have some sort of coding experience, right? Because you can see the back end and see some of the things that need to be fixed. How do you see that changing in the future? Will founders not have to be technical? There's so many people that come to Fort Lauderdale Tech Meetup and say, I'm looking for a technical co-founder because they need someone that's going to have that technical expertise. Does the future hold like a space where completely non-technical founders will be able to create highly technical companies because of AI?
Not in this decade, but they try to build the products to move there where you discuss it. But I wouldn't say that it's feasible in the nearest time, because even the smartest model, code generation, still the quality itself to go in live, not so good. Maybe and that's what Walter said about building POCs. So you can try to build this up just for showing a demo, just for trying how it works, maybe show it to your friends, to test, maybe some investor, maybe it will work like that. But to go in live with this kind of an app, it has its breaches in security, it has its hidden bugs. it's also not optimized. It will has memory, so it has a lot of problems in itself, but it works. That is why you can use it to test those ideas, to test those hypotheses quickly or much faster than it was previously. So right now you need one, let's say, tech lead to test, 3-5 ideas per month. Previously, you need to have a team of 5 people to test those ideas, and maybe only one per month. So that's speeding up is there. But if you're talking about distant future, let's say, maybe not so distant, but the way how it develops, I assume so. It was in my thought that maybe we will have agents that write in codes, agents that review in codes, agents that create architecture of the solution, and then provide those technical requirements for. But even a human being is really, most of them, not all of us, but really bad in leveraging the idea in the right way. So even another human being will understand it 100% correctly. So machine is also making mistakes in understanding because the input itself is not so good. That is why as soon as we will be taught or educated to how to write the right input, like your idea, and then machine will understand 100%. So this gap still not covered. And because of the human nature, I don't know when it will be covered at all. So, but the think how do, let's say I live in OpenAI, they see creating their AI agents for development, they see it like that somebody will pay them for researcher, right now 10,000 per month, that will do scientific researches for finding new specific ideas. Then they will buy several agents for 2,000 per month that do developing. And now I'm having everything. So I have an army of agents developing me something. But that's the concept that they're trying to achieve and maybe moving forward there. But right for now, it's distant future from us.
So keep looking for your CTO co-founder. That was another episode of Founder Tactics. Thank you so much for listening. If you'd like to get updates on new episodes, live recordings, and everything happening in our founder community, make sure to subscribe and follow the podcast. And also head to foundertactics.com and sign up for our newsletter. We'll see you next time.